Thank you. Depend on each other here.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to our new bi-weekly political podcast. Political Cadence is the name that we settled on. We will be locking that down soon, I hope.
Yeah.
That's his job.
Yeah. Getting the domain name and
Right.
So right now it's under the awning of the podcast.
I mean, you can still find it under Yeah. But
so
and hopefully it'll be done in such a way that they'll be linkable.
We're kind of contaminating that podcast by making ourselves hateable to a wide number of people that probably listen on it.
Yeah, I don't care. Maybe.
But Will, how you been?
Other than getting over ear infection, I've been pretty well.
Probably got it from the grandchildren from last week.
No, actually, I got it from work because the office that I sit in is right next door to the server room.
Ah.
And they keep it cold where I sit. So It was inevitable.
Yeah.
Wow, you got a server room. That's it. That's a bygone thing for me. All our stuff is in the cloud. It's all.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of switches, a data server, and some other servers in the room. Because the building where I work at, it originally was a bank. So basically, the server room's sitting in a vault.
Well, like years ago, we graduated to a colo for everything, and now everything is just managed in the cloud. It's crazy. Anyway, Aaron, how about yourself? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Been working like crazy. Falling behind on my podcast assignments. I need to read a book by 9 a.m. And
good luck with that.
I haven't watched any Val Kilmer movies. I don't know if I'm going to be. I'll be driving back from Vegas anyway for that one, I think.
What?
I might miss the Val Kilmer.
Okay.
I've got no particular Val Kilmer passion anyway.
Well, we're talking about rescheduling that. Are you talking about the old date or the new date?
Set a new date?
Not officially.
It was the 11th, right?
I'm thinking the old date.
Yeah.
We'll check back in when all you got to do is watch one. I mean, you're accustomed to watching 90 movies, So
yeah, I've seen a few of them before. I just don't feel like watching them again. I'm not thrilled by really any Val Kilmer movies.
Yeah.
I'm willing to have you glom on to my Real Genius.
I don't like Real Genius.
To do one of those, that would be, welcome to that.
That is not my fault.
Some guy built up Real Genius telling me it was the best movie in the world, best movie ever made, and I watched it and I was like, this guy's a fucking idiot.
Popcorn. The popcorn as a character in the movie. I do not understand you. That's okay.
I don't even remember it anymore. There's popcorn as a character.
Yes,
I think
the popcorn as a character.
I think I maybe blacked it out.
Yeah. Well, Will, if you want,
he was in the Mustache Cowboy movie though, right?
Oh yeah, the Mustache Cowboy movie.
He's Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I knew he was Jim Morrison until years later.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's the guy. That's who that guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good in that.
He was.
Yeah. But Real Genius was my first, Val Kilmer love.
I'm so conflicted about Oliver Stone because so much of his stuff is garbage.
Right.
But he's a pretty good filmmaker, like as far as the cinematography and all that stuff. But he's just such a sensationalist.
What's the date of the Val Kilmer? Oh, well, we don't know yet. Would you like to pick a favorite Val Kilmer movie and join us on the Val Kilmer podcast?
It depends on what time I get home.
Okay.
Because we're getting ready to hire a new person, and there's been some changes coming up at work, so I'm just trying to go with the flow. But I have to admit, my favorite Val Kilmer movie was, hands down, it was Top Gun, Iceman.
Yeah.
Okay.
He played it to a T, and to see him in his, final Iceman movie in Top Gun Maverick, I actually felt kind of sad.
Yeah.
It was good to see him, but you're not used to seeing him in that condition.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was kind of sad.
Yeah.
Well, there's
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
there's a doc called Val that you should watch. Maybe it's it.
On the other hand,
The
and
thing
through
is,
a lot of it, you see him. Oh,
well, no, but throughout his whole life, he was a filmophile. Like he VHS
He filmed
taped a
everything.
lot of his thing. Like a lot of when he was on site for Top Gun and
mhm,
for Tombstone and those movies. He has a lot of behind the scenes footage and stuff, and it's in that movie, that film. It's pretty interesting.
yeah,
But
yeah. It is watching. It is watchable, but I admit there were moments when I was like, "Oh my god, I feel so just wow."
well, I'll let you know when the date is. The
Mhm.
date we set to do
Date
it,
and time.
and then you can decide. Then all you gotta do is bring one Val Kilmer movie. I'm pretty sure Top
It
Gun's gonna
doesn't
be.
matter if somebody else already picked it.
I'm pretty sure Val Kilmer's gonna be picked by somebody else, or not Val Kilmer. Top Gun
Gun.
will be picked
Yeah.
by somebody else too. So
And that's okay because this is a kind of a tribute, more not
I've
a
never seen Top Gun.
thing.
but
You
the
don't know
thing,
what you're missing, dude. That movie was awesome.
Hmm.
It just basically cemented my love for the F-14 Tomcat.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, my problem is Tom Cruise.
I tried to watch it. I could not tolerate Tom Cruise's attitude. I know
Right.
that's what people loved about him in that film, but I just could not stand him.
Yeah.
He was like such an arrogant prick, It's like I didn't want.
To be totally honest, the only thing I didn't like about his first movie was him in the movie.
Right, but
He just
Top Gun, and Tom Cruise's role, that was a role you kind of had to take with a grain of salt because he was supposed to be that arrogant prick,
Right.
fly boy, you know.
he was supposed to be that character.
He's
Yeah,
just too good of an
But
actor.
like
Right?
the Mission Impossible movies, I have not seen one and I never will.
no, I
I'm
was
sorry.
never.
The
But
dilemma.
they're not Mission Impossible. When I found out it was Tom Cruise and he was doing special stunts and they made a point of talking about how he did his own stunts, I'm like, wait a minute. Mission Impossible stunts?
Here's the thing, Aaron.
No.
I would have to learn how. I don't think it's. I don't think it'd be a big problem for me to be able to do the spreadsheets, but it's almost
Well,
like you
I
can't.
guess I could set
It's
that up
almost
ahead
like
of time for you.
I mean, you really just do not want to do this. I mean, it's like
Huh.
because I can't. The whole show is predicated on this voting system.
Yeah,
and
I wouldn't mind hosting it if it's not the day I'm
okay.
driving back from Vegas.
Okay.
Okay.
So okay,
Cool.
If I'm not sitting in a car.
that's the 10th,
Right,
right?
got ya.
9th or 10th or something.
Driving back the 11th.
11th.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think right now it's like noon on the 11th or something like that, and then that's right when I drop off the rental car in Bakersfield and jump into my other car and drive home from Bakersfield.
Got it.
Right. So we'll readjust.
Okay. So back to harsh reality.
Mm.
The fun is over. We're talking about
Come
the
on.
last fortnight of the Trump regime. I've heard that. Will, you mentioned that the other day.
I wish it was the last
I've heard-
fortnight of Trump regime.
Right?
It's not.
Yeah, because like I said in my messenger, I cannot say administration with a clear conscience. I just can't do it.
Right. And something has happened this weekend, right? Within the last 24 hours, the House has
Well,
They-
okay. A Democratic
They did something
leader
to
is supposed
prevent-
to vote.
They did something to
About-
block the Democrats filibustering, right?
No. This is something we just. Are you talking about the thing we just saw, or something else?
what I'm talking about is the vote that was in favor of being able to send American citizens to prisons. It's been
Yeah, like he's like, so you would be okay with sending American children, American-born citizens with cancer to a foreign, you'd be okay with
Doodle.
deporting them. And all the Republicans kept their hands down.
Every single one of them.
They have deported American citizens, and one of them was a child. And the child's other parent is the American citizen in the relationship. The mother was deported, and with her they sent her first child and her child that was born in America. They sent them away. And that was one of the things too. They want to take over automatic sovereign citizenship. They want to get rid of that. I said that badly, take over, because they want to stop the thing where if you're born in America, you're automatically a citizen.
Yeah, I saw that too, and it just turned my stomach.
Yeah.
By that thing, you mean the Constitution?
Right.
That thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's why they want to get a constitutional convention going, because they do not need a constitutional convention for the reason they are stating, which is balanced budget. They can do a balanced budget amendment without altering the Constitution. No,
Well, like
they
I
want a
said before,
constitutional convention so they can change everything, including removing term limits from the president.
well, like I said before, basically the Republican Party has just been wiping their ass with the Constitution for the longest time now. So it doesn't, because they feel, oh, you know what? It doesn't apply to me. Oh, yes, the hell it does too.
Mm-hmm.
Newsflash.
Well, it doesn't, and there are a lot of laws, especially like traffic laws and political immunity, that the Congress has given themselves. Not to mention salary for life when you leave Congress. No, that's got to stop.
Absolutely. And again, when Trump stacked the deck with the Supreme Court, he knew what he was doing, because when the Supreme Court gave Trump his presidential immunity, they basically dug their own graves.
Yes, they did. Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that I'm surprised at all by this. You know, it's like with the situation in Louisiana where they're basically ending a civil rights law, era law regarding desegregation in schools.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's the proper way. I guess this is something that you posted, Will. Tonight, every Republican on the House Judiciary Committee voted unanimously to advance a bill to the House floor that would make it legal to deport U.S. citizens. Every Democrat on the committee voted against it. So that's what we're talking about here. And then we got.
Yep. And notice what you said there. Notice what you said
And
there.
that's
Bill.
where
Every Republican voted against it.
No, for it. All the Democrats voted against it.
Yeah. Every single Republican there voted in favor of this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you know damn well that if it goes before the House, it's going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Which means at that point, you, Lisa, Aaron, myself, or anybody else who's an American can be swept up by ICE and no due process.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, nothing. If they sweep you, if they pick you up in a sweep, your ass is grass.
Right. You're in a foreign country. You're not getting their complicity to get you back, and the country, the administration's not concerned about getting you back. It's just the same as Garcia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also with that is the fact that El Salvador is paying the United States for prisoners.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
So it's a financial thing.
I thought we were paying them. They're paying us.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I heard we were paying them. But beside the point, money is exchanging hands. I'm sure Trump is getting money.
Absolutely. That grifter in chief. He's making money hand over fist.
Did this happen last night or today?
I want to say it happened last night.
Okay.
Like yesterday, yeah.
They love to drop this shit, these nuclear bombs in the middle of the night or in the weekend when they don't think people are, they're at a party or something like that, or watching the stream, Netflix, or whatever.
Right.
They love
Friday night, that's when they drop that shit.
Yeah, it's a part of the anti-woke agenda.
Right.
Right.
Because apparently woke people ain't awake at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, I just feel like, don't you? At some point, you start to feel like you're just punching in a wet paper bag. It's like everything is falling. As ridiculous and as buffoonish as he is, and his as much as his team resembles Hogan's Heroes, like the Nazis on Hogan's Heroes or a bunch of clowns, it doesn't matter because all of these definitive final decisions are falling in their favor and finding the support of the Supreme Court and making him immune to any sort of repercussion for doing these things. He doesn't give a shit that his popularity is dropping. Immune. He doesn't. Why should he care about that? I mean, that's not a concern at this point for him.
It never was.
I think it might be a factor because he wants to be. See, here's the thing: he wants an electoral autocracy.
Well, he just ran to stay out of prison. Don't forget that.
That too.
Right.
But he wants an electoral autocracy. He wants Putin. He wants 96% of the people to vote for him and love him. Or at least vote for him. And that's what he's going to get if he gets an electoral autocracy.
Well, he does have a weakness for people fawning over him, complimenting him. We saw that this week. It makes you sick. What was that special meeting they had where all of it, Vance was there, Bondi was there, Nutlick was there, and they prefaced everything.
All the people who lick his nuts, not just Nutlick.
They all prefaced their comments, their report out to the president with, "Thank you, Mr. President. We've not had this sort of leadership in so long. They were bending the knee, kissing his ass, sucking him off. It's absolutely like they're doing a touchdown dance on the country. It's like they're taunting.
I'm waiting for him to expect them to take a knee.
Pam Bondi makes me sick. I can't stand to hear her say president.
Sick of fainting.
She doesn't call him the president. She don't call him Mr. President. She says president the way that Marilyn Monroe said it to Jack Kennedy. It's like president. It's like.
Well, they say that they have a previous relationship.
But so
I wouldn't be surprised.
They talk about Trump derangement syndrome, and it's easy to get into that, to kind of expose yourself to that if you're just talking about your personal problem with these visuals. But there's actually terrible things happening that deserve attention.
Yeah, and then he does things like Donnie Two Dolls.
I wouldn't say it deserves attention.
There, huh?
I wouldn't say it deserves attention. It demands attention.
But the thing is, I feel like some of the stuff they're doing is, like I've said before, look over there, to distract us from what they're really doing. And that things like the voting to pass the bill that allows deportation of American citizens. And it doesn't say American citizens related to, it just says American citizens.
Right, it's wide open to interpretation.
Yeah. But, any American citizen.
But what does that sound like?
And they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
What does the comment, maybe they, instead of 30 dolls now, they get 2 dolls for Christmas. What's that sound like from history?
Adolf Hitler.
It's a distraction maneuver.
Let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake, yeah. That's a let them eat cake statement.
Yeah, and the thing is there was a report that a lot of the ships that are coming from China, their containers are empty.
Right. Danny?
Even though the ships are coming, the containers are empty?
Yep.
Well, they're on a schedule. They're on a cadence, like we're on a cadence.
Maybe.
We might come on here one day and say everything's wonderful. There's no reason to talk about any of this. But we still check in. So that's the same way as those ships, I guess. How's that affecting Brett, Aaron? He works on his docks.
Yeah, I haven't talking about it. I haven't seen him. I saw him at a ball game, but that's about it.
You don't really haven't seen him that much. Okay.
Yeah. Good meaning to ask him, though, next time I see him.
That's Aaron's son-in-law.
The port of LA.
Right.
Yeah, because I know the ports of LA and San Diego, they've been having a lot of layoffs lately because, frankly, there's no work.
Well, shit's starting to get real because like this next week or two is when they're projecting that you're going to walk into stores and see empty shelves.
Which we've already been seeing that here.
Yeah.
It's somewhat more than I remember from when I was younger, like when I was a teenager. Yeah.
And it's not like we're talking about a political genius or economic genius who's been a massive success and has accumulated so much wealth.
Right.
I mean, Trump has, how many times has he filed bankruptcy?
Right.
And yet we're treating him as though he has some master plan that makes no sense to anybody else but him. And, you know,
But we're not.
all the
They
little
are.
bit of pain that we're going to feel in the interim, there's going to be a huge payoff in the end. It's like, it's totally demented.
Mhm.
67 bankruptcies, and they're mostly casinos, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Well,
I heard somebody call him the Cheeto in chief the other day.
well, people like over the last week, they've liked to talk about the last 100 days. Like all the news outlets and podcasts have kind of reviewed the last 100 days. So I don't think we need to do that necessarily.
I will say this much. In the last 100 days, the 4 most significant drops in the stock market have occurred. The 4 largest drops in the stock market have occurred in the last 100 days.
I'm tired of winning.
Right.
Yep. And something else that needs to be said too is, I mean, just what was it? Either yesterday or today, he signed an executive order to cease all public funding for NPR and PBS because of the way that they've been covering him, which is for him. Oh, they're just putting me down.
Honestly.
Unfavorable. You know, they're just talking about me so badly. It's vengeance. It's vengeance and revenge.
Right.
Yeah, also, denying child nutrition program to both the United States and Africa.
Right. Denying disaster relief to Arkansas affected by deadly tornadoes, even as his Sarah Huckabee Sanders, his former propaganda chief, was begging him for relief. Turned his, just basic cruelty.
Nope.
Just not.
And the thing is, it was also
anyone but himself.
Well, it was also noted in a report that Trump was funneling funds from FEMA to actually fund his golfing.
I'll bet. I believe that.
You know?
Well, as far as like real tangible events that happened that were just stunning this week, I think the arrest of the Wisconsin federal judge who was overseeing an ICE case. Her name was, I think it was, oh my God, I'll never find it in this.
I can't remember her name myself.
Hannah Dogan.
Yeah, Dogan.
Right. That was one of the, right after our last cadence. I think it was the Monday, right thereabouts. She was proceeding over a ICE case. ICE was there to detain the person that was on trial. She forbade ICE to come into the courtroom. I think one of them or more had.
And then he let the lawyer and the defendant go out the back door.
Now, why did these guys? Either one or more of these guys had ski masks on, so that you couldn't see who they were.
Yeah, they're masking up.
Why the hell why is that necessary with a government employee?
Right.
You gotta
because the fact that they're not official ICE.
No, they're not
officers.
Some of them aren't. Yeah.
Well,
they have basically deputized any asshole who, all the MAGA assholes.
The defendant had not been found guilty at this point. She facilitated his leaving the office. She knew that these ICE agents were there to detain him. She knew the case about Abrego Garcia. So she helped get him out of the courtroom,
with
and
his
he
lawyer.
was chased down, immediately arrested, and then they came back and arrested her and charged her with 2 counts of obstructing justice.
Which
And
is
then
bullshit.
Cash Patel immediately goes on X and starts boasting about it. We got one, we got one of these sons of bitches. We're gonna
Mhm.
we're gonna grab any judge. No one is above the law, apparently, except for the president, of course.
Mhm.
or anyone who works for him.
Right. But so he took it down. I don't know if he was told to take it down or if he took it down from his own volition, but to me, that's a fuck up.
Oh, Cash.
Yeah. The whole,
Cash Patel
it's acting like an
boasts.
amateur. It's not being,
Only the president can do that.
it's not being professional.
Yeah, only the president can be unprofessional like that. You don't get to do that, Cash.
Now, my question is, with Cash Patel being of Indian descent, how long is it going to be before he finds his ass shipped off?
Right.
Well, as long as you lick the president's feet, he doesn't.
And the thing is, too, Trump's got this thing against immigrants, but he sure as hell loves marrying them, which means because of the fact that Barron, his mother, is an undocumented immigrant.
Is she?
Yeah.
Anymore. She was.
Oh.
Well, it's a mystery. It's just a mystery how people seem to
Well,
think.
the ICE ain't showing up at her house.
People are convinced he's not going to turn on them for some reason. I mean,
I have no idea why.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah,
Let me know how that works out for
he's fine with white European immigrants. It's the brown immigrants he doesn't like.
Right, which includes Cash Patel.
well, JD Vance is married to an Indian woman, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
Wait a minute, I thought JD Vance was married to Cheryl Hines? Or am I
no, you're thinking of RFK.
Okay. And what's his problem with Cheryl Hines? Do you guys know?
She's not falling in line.
Hines has a problem with him.
No, she's actually party line.
She's a Democrat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Because he just walks right past her every time. He won't shake her hand. He won't even look at her.
No, she's not a part. No, she's a Democrat. She's in direct opposition.
And she's a girl with biggins,
Yep.
so you'd think he'd look at her. Because he is that immature.
So there's a conflict. I don't know how you go to unpack RFK.
Oh my God.
His denial of
the vaccine denying, my favorite is saying that brown people don't need as much vaccination as white people. Is that just black people? Is it just brown people across the board? Does it include Mexicans, Africans, and Indians?
well, I don't think
Asians?
I don't think he knows, but I think the means by which they might try to find out might be, kind of resemble what Joseph Mengele might have endorsed at one time or something.
Yes,
get the idea that it would progress to a point where you'll be using.
And then you look at measles. We didn't need measles anymore, so they canceled the measles vaccine, and look what's going on.
So, what would you guys say the next? Like, he had this interview with ABC News, and there's a lot of shit you could pick on there because I feel like with Musk out of the picture, Trump is kind of a little bit more on his own, a little bit more exposed, and he's he's looking like an old man that can't really reason anymore. But and so you can pick that apart. But what is like the next big thing that happened sequentially after the rest of the judge? Do you think?
Oh, after the arrest of the judge. What has happened since then?
Well, the one thing that I've been calling for the longest time, and again, it has to do with what's going on in Louisiana. And I've been telling people for years now, for a while, I won't say years, but for a while, I've been saying, you think it's going to stop with Roe v. Wade? Oh, no, that was just the beginning. Any person with common sense knew and knows their next agenda is doing away with Brown versus the Board of Education.
Well, go ahead.
Especially the ruby red states, and it's starting in Louisiana.
Okay. Now, we all know about Brown versus the Board of Education, of course, but for those of our listeners who don't, what is that exactly?
Basically, Brown versus the Board of Education dealt with the segregation between white students and black students in public schools. It basically banned segregation
Okay.
Across the board. It was
across the
utilized
board.
to stop segregation in companies. It's the beginning of, I suppose, like the DEI type laws. And yeah.
So in addition to removing African Americans from commemorative achievements to try to diminish their achievements, to remove Jackie Robinson, attempt kind of failed. But in addition to that, they're doing tangible damage to
We're on DEI and
in this country with decisions like that.
And if you think they're going to stop with Brown versus the Board of Education, no, there's one more on their agenda. And it's a major one, and that is Loving v. Virginia. The legalization of interracial marriage.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, they're already hitting up against gay marriage. Part of every law out there addressing abortion includes birth control as a form of abortion.
Yeah, because according to every Republican, the only thing a woman should be is barefoot and pregnant and in the kitchen.
Well, that's
and I'm a diabetic with no uterus. I should just be shot.
No, that's a good point. That's interesting.
To take me out back and shoot me so you can marry a viable woman.
No, we're not going to do that. But that leads to discussion of eugenics. The recently departed Elon Musk, of course, believes in populating the world with sort of like
other Elons.
Yeah, Ubermensch, basically. And also incentivizing women to not pursue careers, but to have as many babies as possible. And also, to incentivize them to do that, they'll give them a $5,000
what per child
stipend per child.
Yeah, but here's the thing with that.
What's that going to do?
Here's the thing with that, though, guys. They only give a damn about the child while it's in utero.
Right.
Once the child's born, it's a whole new ball game because here we are with another leech on society.
Mm-hmm.
But yet we're talking about the quote-unquote pro-life party.
Well, yeah, because the only life they care about is the one in your uterus. Once the baby's born, they're not worried about it. That's your
not
problem.
anymore
your problem.
Because again, now it's a leech on society. Now it's all these other things.
Right.
Yeah. Now who's going to feed it? Who's going to diaper it? Who's going to raise it? Who's going to educate it? That's not their problem. In fact, Elon Musk does not consider his own progeny his problem, and he's a billionaire.
Well,
exactly.
At the same time, they're cutting support for meals in schools, right? They don't want.
Yeah. He only actually supports his children who have passed an IQ test at a level he is accepting of. That's what I understand.
Right. Hey guys, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. Aaron?
Looks like you got some rain, right?
You heading into some rain?
Or you did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd be heading to more, but it's out. Grandparents should take over.
Okay.
I'm sorry we lost you there.
Yeah, the video.
Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
There was a case, international situation in the Gaza region that I heard about this week involving a woman who was killed, Fatima Hassana. She had done a documentary about life in Gaza during the war, and she was absolutely ecstatic that her documentary won a film festival, and it brought attention to some of the atrocities that are going on in the Gaza Strip,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't it wasn't along the party line of supporting Israel's war,
Right.
and
I
she
can
was,
understand that.
pretty good. It was a great artistic achievement.
Right.
The very next day after she received this award, she was killed in a raid by an Israeli raid.
Let's be shocked.
And that type of shit. You hear that type of stuff, and you're like, maybe that's happenstance or whatever. But that's the type they're creeping over. They're pushing every single envelope they can. They really, the administration does not seem to have any filters. So you can imagine this is not being, an actual assassination of this
Yeah.
It
poor artist who's
basically
actually producing
was.
art. Yeah,
Yeah.
It
was an
basically
assassin.
was.
right.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Anyone who dares speak against the establishment is a target and therefore must be neutralized by any means necessary.
Right. Then, of course, there was the 60 Minutes fiasco. Scott Pelley ended the last episode of 60 Minutes explaining that his producer of 40 years, I don't know if Pelley's been there 40 years, was resigning because the parent company of 60 Minutes is succumbing to pressure by the administration over their anti-Trump newscasts. So if you've been enjoying 60 Minutes over the last few months and feeling like at least there's a voice in the wilderness in favor of democracy, that's going by the wayside too, along with CNN, the others. So,
well, and that's the thing, because I mean, we were raised on free press, which means that even the president was held accountable by the journalists that were covering him. Trump feels that nobody needs to check him, nobody needs to cover him. I mean, he's limited access to White House press meetings now.
right.
And it's ridiculous that these media corporations like CNN, like ABC, like CBS are sitting up here capitulating to this idiot,
Right.
all in fear of losing their license.
Right.
He's already signed an executive order to end public funding for NPR and PBS. He tried to silence Voice of America, in which a judge permanently blocked that, and these people that work for VOA have been given return to work orders.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But for how long is that going to last?
Not long. Yeah.
Well, did you see the new media conference they had the other day where they herded all these MAGA supporting supposedly media types like Sean Spicer?
He started that. He started that like 6 weeks ago. But yeah.
Yeah, okay. And they're lobbing softball questions to him, trying to put him in a favorable light. He's done what people don't realize is Pumpkin Spice Palpatine has done too much damage for any kind of control. He put himself out there in the light that people look at him in, and there's no turning back from it. People see the wizard behind the curtain now.
They do, but some of them just like, okay. So I had almost never unfriended anybody on Facebook, and I have nothing against the people that I've unfriended over the last week, but I could not tolerate anymore to read some of the shit
that they were posting.
People that were bragging about taking advantage of what they call it, when he imposed the tariffs and he lifted them and the economy rebounded in one day. Oh, I made $5,000. I was, I'm like, fuck you. It's like, I could not tolerate every time I would post something, and not that I'm opposed to talking to somebody about something, but what I would get back from people who were MAGA were these long emails or these long text things, and they'd list like all the people that had been murdered by illegal aliens allegedly. There's no way they could have wrote that in 2 seconds in the amount of time it took them to reply to my post. So these people are prepared to defend their stupidity. They've got text files and Word documents ready where they can cut and paste responses to shit instantaneously to try to defend their ignorance. And
Long-winded.
I cannot tolerate that. I can't have that. I'm not getting down in the mud. Now, the way I watch Aaron operate, he posts links. He doesn't get into conflicts with people, but he's more seasoned at this than I am. I like baseball and football and watching TV and shit. I don't like politics. I feel like as an American, you have to fight against this bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, some of these MAGA people have been doing this for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, and the thing is with me, being who I am and how I was raised, you know what? You want to bring it? Bring it on. I'm game. And all I can say is, you better bring your A game, because your B game ain't going to be good enough.
I don't have it in me.
That I cut off are the ones that here, hold on.
Because I've cut off my own family on my father's side, because one cousin went above and beyond the call of duty and tried to call me ignorant because he claimed that he knew more about the Constitution than I did. Nope.
Prove it.
Exactly.
Well, it's sad because I truly love some of the people, not that I unfriended already, but I do have people in my family, people that I know that feel this other way, and we're just trying to navigate through this time. But I just strongly disagree with this blind support.
All of these laws that we are upset by, like for instance, passing a law that makes it okay for ICE to deport American citizens. All of these laws are being passed because Trump wants them.
Yeah. Because he wants to be king and ruler. Again, we're talking about someone who said that they were the ruler of Israel.
Right.
He called himself the ruler of the world the other day.
Yep.
He's called himself the Pope, the ruler of the world. We are the government. We are the federal government.
The King of America. But we're not supposed to listen to his words. He's just joking. And I'm like, no, he's not. He's never joking. He just thinks you're too stupid to believe what you're hearing. He believes you're stupid.
Along with every other member of MAGA.
Yeah.
The only king he is of MAGA.
Well, unfortunately for MAGA, I got news for you people, and I'm not tooting my own horn here by any stretch. I possess a 122 IQ. That's considered above average.
Oh, wait. Average
and
6.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of these MAGA people, apparently, they're below average. And when I talk to certain people here in Sacramento, here in Carmichael, here at work and everything, when I talk to them, they look at me like, holy shit, this guy knows a lot. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, see, the thing is, they don't see that as an attribute. They see that as a detriment in you. That if you're intelligent, you're not trainable like a dog.
Exactly.
If
knowledge is dangerous to them.
Yeah.
Well, didn't somebody say that Trump's IQ was tested at like 75?
We talked about that last week. I don't know what it is, but it's like
right.
Well,
I've heard 75,
whatever it is, if he
I've
gets
heard
tested
134.
Huh? Say that again, Aaron.
I think you said 134.
I've heard 75, and I've heard 134.
If that man has an IQ of 134, guess what, people? I'm Abraham Lincoln.
Mine's 132.
Well, everything they're doing is trying to suppress this idea.
Whatever.
They don't envision a world of a progressive world of science and technological advances. They don't envision that. It's just transactional. It's a class struggle with the wealthiest at the top, everybody else at the bottom, no middle class, and no roles really for anybody that has a college degree. No support for that. That's why they're attacking the universities like Harvard and
Right.
Yep.
Yale and
Yeah, and the Harvard thing where they're trying to withdraw $2 billion in funding? However much it is,
2.8
trying to
billion.
withdraw this funding
It's
because
2.8 billion, Lisa.
Okay. Yeah, they're trying to withdraw this funding based on them not towing the party line when it comes to gender identification and DEI.
what the Nazis would do is they'd kill the intelligent and they prevent the rest of the people from education. It's
Right.
like that's the same thing, you know.
The American Taliban or the Taliban do the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah. I think anybody I think anybody that has a problem with making this comparisons to the Nazis, it's like you can't do that. You've already lost the argument. What did Bill Maher say? You've already lost the argument if you bring up the Nazis, right?
But this is a 2025 and Mein Kampf.
I mean, there's so many parallels. You got
Yeah.
you got the 2020. Yeah, right. Like you said, 2025. You got somebody who was actually a felon.
Creating an enemy,
Another-
i.e., Jews and Mexican and brown people. What is it? Saying that they are all criminals, criminalizing them. You know, what is it? Slowly removing the support for other people, like for instance, people who are ill or the handicapped, i.e., they're trying to roll back the ADA Act.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I just, I don't. Our podcast, I don't want it to be just a bitch. Although it's good, it's nice. It feels therapeutic to get shit off your chest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to just be a bitch session or a complaint session. I don't. I
Want to
think
bring up Russia
people are
attacking
they're trying to get the protests, the 50-51 protests are great, although the media is not covering it very heavily. I mean, they're not really, they're really not covering it to the extent they could.
And that's by orders.
Yeah.
And one person in particular, Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah. Well, I think that I heard someone say that Murdoch might be Trump's true idol. That Trump really, he doesn't want to be Genghis Khan. He wants to be Rupert Murdoch. He wants to be a media mogul.
Yeah.
And,
he wants to be God.
Yeah.
It's not just media mogul, hotel mogul, different ventures, Bitcoin, all that stuff. He just wants to be everything.
Right. But other things we can do is we can call our congressmen, voice our opinions to them. If you have a podcast, you can try to get people on the podcast. I've reached out to a couple people that I'm working on.
But unfortunately, with those, Phil, you and I both know a lot of the things that will be said on the podcast, calling our congressman, it's going to fall on deaf ears.
Yeah.
What it's going to take is a true revolution.
Yeah.
I hate to think about it, but I do think that could be the case.
It's going to be us against them.
Sure we vote, and we need to make sure that women need to do whatever they have to get to those voting booths.
Well, not just women, but people of color.
Right. But what I'm saying about women in specific is because the current law that they just passed, making it, mandatory to have 2 forms of federal ID, and your birth certificate doesn't count if the name isn't the same. That is a concerted attack on women. And if
That
you're
is
listening to this
discrimination.
and you're a woman, you don't know that, you are not paying attention.
That is straight up discrimination
Yeah.
on all levels.
Absolutely.
And we've seen for years that through the media, through the newspapers and everything, how the ruby red states have been trying to eliminate minority voting because they know the minorities aren't going to vote in favor of Republicans.
Yeah.
And those that do, that vote against their own best interest, no one knows why. But again, basically what the Republican Party has been doing for decades now is stacking the deck against the American people.
Yeah. And we are going to get our real IDs. We're going to go at some point, I guess next Saturday, which is May 8th, but that's just the way it happens. We couldn't go today because we're both sick as a dog. But I had to get my social security card, my birth certificate, my marriage certificate, because it shows the transfer from my maiden name to my married name. And my birth certificate doesn't cover that, and neither does my social security card. So, I had to get all 4 of those documents to get the real ID. And we have to do that because we also have to have our correct address if we go to vote. Now, to vote, I am not going to be able to vote in the next election coming up in May because I won't have the proper documentation. I have to wait until I get a passport so that I have 2 forms of photo ID that have my married name.
Mm-hmm.
What election is in May?
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's
Well, it's the Ohio midterms, isn't it?
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not sure if it's enacted yet or not. I don't know. I mean, I think they're requiring federal laws on ID, which includes, like I said, the birth certificate thing. And I said, that's not what I had to do the last time. And they said, oh, well, those laws are newer than the last time you renewed. And I'm like,
yeah, and you can thank Trump and DeWine for that. In which DeWine, I'm sorry, that is the sorriest. That is the sorriest SOB since James Rhodes. And I never thought in a million years I would despise someone so badly other than James Rhodes and what he did to the state of Ohio.
mm-hmm.
I despise DeWine.
Well, there are some.
I mean, for me, the only thing that Ohio has done right in the last, 20 years was overturn the abortion laws. I'm like, that we did right.
Yeah.
And the marijuana thing.
So they're going to roll that back too. That's just a matter of time.
Oh yeah, they're working on that.
But there were a couple positive things that we should probably note as we wind down here.
Did we mention Russia? Did we mention Russia attacking Ukraine during the ceasefire?
No.
No,
that's a good point, Aaron. It was like just hours after Trump had proclaimed that Russia agreed to terms on a ceasefire.
Yeah.
And then they killed.
That's not funny. It's not funny.
No, especially since there was a school involved.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
And apparently Trump doesn't realize that Putin's playing him like a goddamn fiddle.
Right. He's been at this longer than Trump has.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still remember that first time Trump met with Putin and the look on his face like he'd seen a ghost when he came out of the room. I don't know what Putin said to Trump, but it scared the living shit out of him his first term.
Interesting. I have to look that up. I would like to see, because people are trying to figure out when the actual suck off happened, and I don't know if that was it but I will look that up. The positive things. Trump has had to rescind a couple things. He had to rescind the deportations on students, and several other lame rulings had to be rescinded by court order. So those are victories. I think the big one is,
Yeah, but did they actually do it?
well,
Are the students
the
coming
caveat of
back?
the good news is that it's probably temporary, but
Mm.
it's like
Of course.
the winds.
Oh, Walls got fired.
Walls got fired.
Mm.
They seem to wait until any blowback from Signal Gate. You know.
Yeah, but there's Hegseth did it again.
Right.
Yeah,
Oops,
2.0.
He did it again. He signaled the wrong.
He don't want to dot
people.
line back to Signal Gate because that would be Trump. Trump would view that as capitulating to the media if he were.
And he
if
fucked
he
up.
did it.
Right.
But the other one,
But-
the big one is, remember he had that face off with the governor of Maine over funding, school funding in Maine, and it was predicated on, he told her, look, you got to get rid of trans athletes or trans students in Maine, or else we're not going to fund you anymore. And she said, well, I'll take you to court.
I'll
Trump
see
said,
you in court.
I look forward to that because we are the federal government. You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
we are the law.
so he's trying to really throw his weight around
He didn't
there.
say we're the federal government. He said we are the laws.
Yes, we are. Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Maine has won that case, at least for now, and the funding continues. So those are good things, but it's few and far between, it seems.
Absolutely.
Keep hoping to hear something from the road here, but cuts in and out. Maybe we should go to we are feeling a little bit down and out, but maybe we should go ahead and do our fuck ups of the fortnight here, just to get it over with. And Will came up with 8 of them. We came up with some, and Aaron contributed one. So I kind of picked them out and came up with 8. I would have liked to do a poll where we all could have voted on the 8, but I was running out of time. So, all right. So we'll start with, hopefully, Aaron. Are you able to vote, or should I vote?
Yeah. What's the right?
Yeah, we lost you again.
I'm going to go ahead and vote. But
Yeah.
What are the choices?
Trump denies relief to tornado victims in Arkansas, which I find just incredibly cruel and unnecessary.
I guess you could hold up a finger, thumb for the first one and a finger for the second one, Aaron.
Versus
What's the second
military
one?
rescinding civil rights acts.
Military.
Okay.
Aaron, Will,
I would say it's the rescinding civil rights.
Military Rescinding Civil Rights Act. Yeah.
Yes.
And deporting children who are U.S. citizens.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's a separate category. I'm sorry.
Oh. Oh, okay.
That's a
Sorry.
typo.
Never mind. Okay.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so the military moves on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say I agree with the rescinding of civil rights.
Cash Patel, June 14th military parade, which is an example of fascism, I think. Versus arrest of Wisconsin federal judge Hannah Dugan. Again, fascism, intimidation.
I'm gonna say the arrest of the judge.
Yeah.
What about you, Will?
I'm going to say it's the military parade.
Okay.
See, that's on Philip's birthday.
That doesn't change my vote anyway.
What are you voting? What are you voting? Having a parade on June 14th because it's the president's birthday, I can ignore that. But arresting federal judges, I have a problem with.
I think they're both outstanding. Like June 14th, that's an example. I mean, you see Mussolini and Hitler holding these military parades. That's exactly what it's going to look like. They're going to tear up the streets and cause all kinds of fucking damaged that they're going to have to repair. It's going to cost. Who knows how much it's going to cost in the end? And people will show up and protest this bullshit. So there could be some it could be a January 6th situation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not only that, but look how close this military parade is to Juneteenth.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Look how close it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The prosecution rests, Your Honor. No further questions.
To be fair, it is bootlicking. 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's waste, fraud, and abuse.
Right. Waste, fraud, and abuse.
But I'm going to go with the judge, just because to me that is a direct. I read an article where it's not unprecedented because Obama apparently, was it Obama? The previous administration had done something similar. Arrested.
Oh. Jesus Christ. Sorry, our getting on my nerves.
All right.
I voted judge. I don't know if you got that.
What?
I voted for the judge.
Yeah.
Okay. So Judge Dugan. All right. So our next matchup is Department of Justice, Trump administration's plan to kill New York City congestive pricing versus Peacock working with administration to neuter 60 Minutes.
So, so Doge plans to kill New York City congestion pricing. What? I don't.
That's based on an article that Aaron sent.
Well, there's once you get above a certain street, they charge tolls to go into Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
And Trump was rolling that back, and apparently New Yorkers are fine with that toll.
Right.
Okay.
Mostly.
I'm going to go with the free speech.
Absolutely. Same here.
Not working to neuter 60 Minutes.
Is it safe to say?
Yeah, but did you say Peacock still?
I thought I saw that. I know CBS was its parent company at one time, but I thought I saw Peacock was.
No, Peacock is NBC.
Yeah, they're definitely CBS still.
Okay, CBS then.
So they're Paramount.
It's Paramount.
Yeah, Paramount.
God, okay.
The good people who brought us Star Trek.
Yeah. Star Trek and Stephen Colbert.
All right, the last matchup of F-ups of the fortnight. Desegregation in Louisiana, Jim Crow, racism, versus Supreme Court considering public funding for Catholic charter school.
Oh.
Okay, I'm having a real problem with the separation of church and state. I mean, they've put forth a bill making Christianity the American religion. Where is the separation of church and state? I'm like, so, I mean, I have a real problem with that. On the other hand, desegregation, which one is of bigger concern? You know, I mean, church and state is what started the country. Segregation came up later, but it is very important. So I'm kind of, I don't know, where do you weigh down on this one?
Well,
segregation or church and state?
Well, I mean, it's tough. I tend to lean towards segregation.
Okay.
Just because it just seems, I don't know. I mean, it's just so ugly. Racism.
It's a tough choice, man. It's a real Sophie's choice.
It is. It's a total Sophie's choice. Yeah. Will?
With me is the desegregation in Louisiana, because that is an infringement of civil rights. Right. And anytime civil rights are being stepped upon, that's when I have a problem.
All right. Mm-hmm. So we got a final four.
Okay.
Military rescinding civil rights versus the arrest Judge
Dugan.
Dugan.
So, federal judges being attacked for doing their job, or the military rescinding Civil Rights Act. How is the military rescinding the Civil Rights Act, by the way? What is the story behind that?
Don't ask tough questions.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
If I knew about these in advance,
I'm not trying to throw Will under the bus, but that was one of.
Okay, Will, please define.
Basically, the military has no right, business, or anything else stepping on anybody's civil rights.
Okay.
Basically, it's Trump Trump flexing his muscle, stating, hey, the military's behind me and they're going to do what I want to do.
And it is not a mandate that you have to do it just because you're in the military, that you have to do something against your personal, even though
exactly, because the military's entire purpose, basically the military's entire purpose is to uphold the Constitution and defend this country against, and let me make this very, very clear, all enemies, domestic and foreign.
Right. Uphold the Constitution, which obviously Trump is wiping his, what with it.
Yeah. So where are you then? You on the military or the?
Yeah, because if we can't count on them, we're fucked.
What about you, Will?
Excuse me, but
yeah, with me it's the military, because this is fascism in its purest form.
Aaron?
Yeah, it's the military versus arresting the judge, right?
Right.
All right, and then
military, I guess.
Well, especially since he may have already enacted martial law to a limited degree. There's a strip down around the border where he has orders that to shoot on sight in that one region.
Okay.
Basically, shoot to kill.
Yeah,
right.
And that he wrote that into law, or he did it one of his executive orders last week for that or something.
So
stay away from there.
Okay, now the choices are between the desegregation and free speech.
Trump is such a cunt.
Without free speech, how are we going to know about the desegregation?
Yeah,
exactly.
So I'm going to have to say, despite the power to the people, I support my brothers and sisters, but at the same time, we have to be able to talk about those brothers and sisters.
Yep. Right.
This podcast, we could be arrested for this podcast.
We really could.
Okay.
Right now we're the free press.
Yeah.
It's disappearing. I try to find podcasts. They're getting they're not updated as often. They're getting harder to find. They're less reliable voices and sources of actual news. There's more centrists like Chris Cuomo, Bill Maher, Stephen A. Smith. There's more centrists, which might be more dangerous than being polar at this juncture right now.
Yeah, we are a little bit polar.
Yeah.
And not only that,
and that's sad because we have traditionally been centrists.
Biden and Harris are about as centrist as you can get.
Who is?
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. You're right about that. The people who are not centrists are Bernie and AOC. They're not centrist.
Yeah, my people.
Yeah.
And there was someone that I read briefly on CNN.com that was telling people not to listen to Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Why not?
James Carville, who's giving out all kinds of bad advice now that he's
I'm sorry, that man does not look okay. And I don't just mean that from a physical standpoint. I mean, like, mentally, he does not seem all there.
Yeah. All right, so now we got...
he always wears, like, Tulane stuff, right?
Who's that?
Carville.
Oh, I don't know about that. I know he was a Clinton strategist, and he was
Years ago when he'd wear suits, but now he's always in like Tulane sweatshirts and Tulane hats.
Tulane.
Right.
I thought you meant two lanes. You mean
No.
University? Yeah.
I thought it was
University.
Alabama. Or
It might be. It's some university down there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's like he's got this homespun manner, and he's a political ad. You know, he had his day when he identified it's the economy stupid was his big claim to fame.
Mhm.
yeah, because I still remember him in K Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was famous for marrying a Republican woman.
Mary Matlin. I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Matlin.
And she was a Republican.
Yep.
Robot golf.
But his day has passed, I believe.
Mhm.
Listening to some of the shit.
Yeah.
Chris Cuomo, I don't know what the hell he's thinking either. But
He's
Fine.
just looking for publicity.
Yeah, the Cuomos are done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris Cuomo is just reaching for straws.
yeah. Well, finally, we got military rescinding civil rights versus free speech issue revolving around the 60 minutes problem.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Both of them are
Like fights.
fascist. Both of them are fascist.
Yeah.
So at this case, I would say it's an even pick.
Mm-hmm.
But with the military, it's a little bit more because now you're talking about putting force behind something.
Right.
Well, what did Trump say? He would have had during the Black Lives Matter protests during his first term, he would have had those protesters shot in the knee by the military. If not for someone who stopped him, and one of his, he don't have those people anymore. So that tells you right now.
Checks and balances are out the window.
Oh, yeah.
Left to his own impulses, people are going to get shot at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Well, left to his own machinations, people are going to get killed.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that military, yes. I'm not voting, but what do you say, Elise?
Huh? The military.
Right.
Because I do think that they're going to show up at a protest and shoot.
Yeah, I do.
First and ask questions later.
Absolutely.
What was the second choice? Military versus?
Says.
Free speech, all the media suppression that's going on.
Oh, yeah, military.
Well, there you go.
Civil rights versus free speech, which should include civil rights.
Well, I'm going to include this number. I might include it on the visuals and have it up all the time. But if you're a member of the military, whether it's easier said than done now.
To uphold the Constitution, not the president's rule.
It's easier said than done. But if you're, the National Guard, or if you're deployed to some rally or something, there are recourses for you. There's a hotline that you can call to, I guess, anonymously report a command. Or now, who the hell knows what'll happen to you after you do that? But that's the type of decision it's going to take from somebody who's expected to just blindly take orders to actually use their own moral compass and judgment and actually fight back.
Yeah.
It's not going to be it's not going to be Bernie Sanders, and it's not going to be any politician at a podium.
Nope.
Yeah.
It comes back to Nuremberg again, doesn't it?
Yep. And the thing is, too, I was reading about somebody that owned a business, and one of his employees basically turned against him, and he called ICE on him.
Wow.
Just to let the other employees know, FAFO.
Yeah. Well, as always, it's been another lively discussion. I'll try to get this up like unadulterated, just like it is. Just put it out there. And then
I didn't threaten to kill anybody this time.
That's always good. But we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah, I'll try to be at home next time.
All right.
See you guys.
You got to live your life.
That's true. There's only 2 weekend days, right? I'll see you guys.
See ya.
Okay.
Oh, 2 weeks from now, I'm good.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Next week, I'm at the Sphere.
Right. You'll be, yep.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
You too. Bye.
Yep. Late.
know it's hard.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Depend on each other here.